There are so many things that I love about today's episode. First and foremost, the profound shift and awareness that our volunteer had was really powerful, and it's something that I see all of the time with people that impacts health, happiness, life. And so I love that, and that's part of where we're going. Now, another thing that I love is that our volunteer was able to see the mind-body connection. She was able to release her neck pain. And the reason that's really important also in her situation is not just the pain. Of course, the pain is important, but she's also been struggling, and where she called it battling even, with breast cancer for several years. And it's been getting worse. So the breast cancer is spreading throughout her spine and whatnot. And so what was beautiful is that she's looking outside of the box. And what I love also is that she is in the medical field. So she's a CNA. And so, seeing people look outside of the box to find healing and out of that traditional, traditional therapies and traditional methods to say, okay, what else? And so I love that she's showing up. I love her self-awareness. And again, I love that she was able to make a really profound shift in her awareness, her life, her emotions. And so I love that. Now, to give you a bit of backstory, I mentioned she is a CNA. So she also identifies as being a fixer. So she's somebody who always, just has this beautiful, beautiful heart, who's always wanted to help people or fix things or, take care of her brother, but also a lot of energy towards fixing her son and fixing. The problem is that unfortunately, in feeling that feeling of fixing all of the time, a lot of times it can push people away. And I see that so often where people are really coming from this beautiful place where they have a good heart. They're really trying to help others, and people around them start rejecting them or not wanting to spend time. And so what can happen is they feel this feeling of feeling like, like I do everything for people. I do this and I do that. And so they end up feeling, the way they're perceiving it is just this feeling of overgiving and being taken advantage of, or always needing to give and feeling depleted, and yet in return feeling unloved or feeling rejected. But what many times is happening on the other side is somebody's feeling criticized or vulnerable or overly, it's just too much, or just saying and so I see that so often where the person on the other side, it's not that they're trying to reject, it's that they're starting to feel like criticized or always needing to be fixed, or like something's wrong with them and whatnot, and getting hypersensitive and hypervigilance. And I can't tell you how often I have seen this. So I've worked with women, people around the world who have been in that place where they're really, really trying to help to care for others. And what also happens is so often that in that place, they'll feel like it's part of that identity and it's who they are and it's all they know to connect. And even in this case where I worked with our beautiful volunteer, that's what she said. She said, I am a fixer. This is her identity. And so when it came to connecting in other ways, there's a feeling of like, how do I do that? And that's really where I want to take you, is exactly that. Like, what happens if you are loved and you are wanted? Not necessarily that you're not even necessarily needed, but wanted. And so often people will end up with this pattern, especially when somebody's, of course, raised children, and there's this need to be needed and need to be needed. And it becomes their pattern and what they're used to, and they feel that, and it's how it is. Then suddenly, when it's gone or when it shifts, it can feel unimportant. It can feel like rejection. It can feel like hurt. It can feel like being unloved. It can feel like resentment. It can feel all of those feelings. And that is the insight that I want to share with you. When you think about it for a moment, everybody can get love in a different way. Some people are fun and funny. Some are playful. Some connect with sports. Some connect with, humor or food, or, there's just so many different ways to connect. And so often I see people who are wanting to work on themselves. And so they see these things and then they just want to fix others and fix and fix and fix. And it ends up backfiring in a way that doesn't feel good for anybody. The person ends up feeling nitpicked or not good enough or self-conscious, that other person, and then they feel rejection. I mean, it doesn't go the way that somebody would want. And that is the insight that I want to share, because again, I can't tell you how often I have seen this, where somebody gets into personal development or self-help and they literally say, okay, I'm going to manifest amazing relationships, and they're working on creating all this love and connection and visualizing it and seeing it and wanting it. And then they have patterns of trying to fix others or showing up that are, sabotaging it, not intentionally, but that end up pushing people away and keeping them from the very thing that they're wanting. And so that's the insight that I want to share. Part of the reason that I want to just share this specific one is I want to invite you to think about this in your own life, what it would feel like to feel wanted, that you don't have the need to be needed. Of course, doing things and feeling like you want to give or grow or serve or whatever it is in a beautiful way. But in relationship, even just being fun, being playful, being connecting, being sweet, being caring, being loving, just being without needing to fix or whatnot is a powerful, powerful place to be. So if that is something that you have been working on, I strongly recommend clicking through, listen to the entire session if you'd like, or just even reflect on this in your own life and look at what you could do to shift this. Because so often I have seen people, by the way, who have made a point to realize and wake up to this pattern and then resolve it in their lives, where they end up feeling more connected than ever, more in love than ever, healing themselves. And of course, usually when it comes to healing, there are usually, multiple different emotions going on, but it can be an important piece to healing relationships, healing health, love, connection. And so that's the insight that I want to share. Is exactly that, is inviting you to look at this in your own life, because it's rewarding and pivotal to make that shift. So that's the insight. And if you'd like to listen and understand even more about mind-body healing, there is a free training in the show notes, or as I mentioned, you can click the link if you'd like to listen to the actual live session where I worked with our beautiful volunteer, Noelle. And what I love is that she was able to make that radical shift and her pain was gone. And so she could see how powerful that mind-body connection is. And so that said, it has been such a pleasure connecting with you. As always, please do take just a quick moment to hit the share button on this episode. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, or somebody you don't even know, because the more that every single person in our world feels happy and healthy and loved and loving, truly, the better this world is for all of us. So that said, please do take a quick moment to hit the share button, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. We'll see you there.